رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على المبعوث رحمة للعالمين وعلى آله وصحبه ومن استنى بسنته إلى يوم الدين وبعد. قال الله تبارك وتعالى في كتابه العزيز بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. يا أيها الناس إنا خلقناكم من ذكر وأنثى وجعلناكم شعوبا وقبائل لتعارفوا إن أكرمكم عند الله أتقاكم إن الله عليم خبير. صدق الله العلي العظيم. وقال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم إن الله تعالى لا ينظر إلى أجسامكم ولا إلى صوركم ولكن ينظر إلى قلوبكم وأعمالكم أو كما قال عليه الصلاة والسلام. Honorable brothers, it's a very beautiful and a very powerful statement of the Prophet ﷺ that he says, when you see something wrong, make sure you say something about it, stop it with your hands, say something about it. If not, then try to make plans of what you could do to change it with your heart. And because of this powerful statement of the Prophet ﷺ, which is not just meant to be left in the books or just to be thought about or contemplated, and when situations for its implementations actually arise, ignore it and say, well, this is not the time, we really need to make sure we ask ourselves a question and really answer it and do something about it. That are we implementing this hadith? Are we, when something wrong is taking place, are we just brushing it off like a fly is just buzzing by? Or are we actually trying to do the best we can to either do something about it or say something about it, or in some way, shape, or form be a prevention from the wrong from taking place? Are we trying to be the best lots towards evil as we can be, or are we passive? Are we just bystanding and just watching as oppression takes place or injustice takes place? I understand injustice is taking place all over the world. Oppression is taking place all over the world. But when it happens again, it shouldn't be that, well, injustice was taking place all over, wherever you know it. Every time it happens, it should spark a new interest in us to ask ourselves the questions, what are we doing about it? Okay, so if it was happening forever to people across the globe, when was the last time you ever prayed for them? When was the last time you woke up for the hajj just to make dua, oh Allah, save these people from the hands of the oppressors or the tyrants? You felt like, well, I can't really do anything about it. I don't got no say in these governmental affairs, or I don't talk politics too much. Well, guess what? You can talk anything you want to Allah. Whether it's political, whether it's your feeling, whether it makes sense, whether it doesn't make sense, whether it's accurate, whether it's not accurate, whether you understand it, whether you don't understand it. It doesn't matter to Allah. You can say whatever you want, and you can ask Him for guidance, and you can ask Him for things that don't even make sense in the real world. When's the last time we did that? We got to ask ourselves a question. When's the last time we prayed for something that we don't actually need ourselves and somebody else needed it? So that's the first question. We got to ask ourselves, when is the last time I made dua for injustice to stop taking place across the globe, in our own streets, in our own country? And if I haven't done that in the recent past, or I haven't done it as much as I need to do it, then I need to start doing it from today onwards. Make a commitment to Allah that not all the du'as that I make are going to be only for me and my family. I'm going to dedicate a portion of my daily supplication, oh Allah, to your creation. Because the Prophet ﷺ says something very beautiful. He says that that individual who asks Allah for something for his brother or her sister or something behind their back, without them knowing about it, then Allah sends an angel to you to say, oh Allah, give this person the same exact thing. Right? So it's beneficial to you in this world as well. Like the more supplications you make for your brothers and sisters, the more angels make supplications for you in your favor. So it's a win-win for you. Right? So even if you're doing it for selfish reasons, like and you really don't care, well, guess what? Still do it. Fix your intention up and say, oh Allah, make me a person who cares more than about just myself. Make me a selfless person. Make me not a selfish person. Make those du'as, correct your intentions, but continue making du'a for the ummah at large and for humanity at large. if oppression doesn't enrage us, if injustice doesn't galvanize us, if it doesn't make us more passionate than we are regularly, then subhanAllah, that's a sign of a really passive heart which needs to, subhanAllah, just be awakened. Now, do we need to go out and start rioting and looting? No, you don't need to do anything that's wrong to drive away another wrong. You don't use dirty water to clean something. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's gonna just add to the dirt. Right? Whether I understand what's happening or not, well, there's a very beautiful saying of Imam al-Shafi'i, rahimahullah, he says, that is استُغْضِبَ فَلَمْ يَغْضَبْ فَهُوَ حِمَارٌ. A person who is provoked and doesn't have any reaction, then they're not a human being. It might as well just refer to them as an animal on the street. They don't have any human-like feelings. So, yes, there is the injustice of society watching people who are being provoked and then playing the victim when they are finally, pushing. They're the ones who push to the boiling point. Once you reach the boiling point and the people are starting to act all crazy, now they're like, whoa, that's not nice, well, that's the boiling point. So if you ask me whether I understand where it's coming from. Whether it's the thing to do, no. Two wrongs don't make a right. You don't need to do that. But it's not the time to talk about how wrong the protesting is. It's the time to talk about the reason behind why that's even happening. The reason why, subhanAllah, people are losing their minds and people are enraged. They tried just taking a knee. Well, that don't work. How much louder do you want people to get? And guess what? It's going to happen. Not everyone is going to be calm and collected and composed. Whether it's the right thing to do, no, people are going to be mad. And this is just something that's a reality in which we are living. Now, what we, as people sitting here getting advice from Jama'ah, need to take back in terms of advice, what injustices are taking place in my own home? What racism is taking place in my own home? Racism is something that has existed since the time of the Prophet ﷺ. And when the Prophet ﷺ came and Allah revealed rulings, jurisprudence, laws, and legislation unto him, he didn't do that stuff right away. What he did right away was built a moral and an ethical code. Talking about how, subhanAllah, nobody who is less wealthy than someone else has inferiority in the eyes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Nobody with a different skin tone has the right to be compared to somebody else and say that this one's better on account of the merit of just their skin tone. These are the principles that he instilled within the people initially. Before even the little nitty-gritty rulings were descended, these were the things that he spoke about, and he spoke about them at a time where it was not popular. Nowadays you talk about, racism is bad and we shouldn't be racist, etc. Everyone's going to applaud. Everyone is going to be like, wow, this person, stands up for human rights and social justice and stuff. It's popular to talk about that stuff right now. Back when the Prophet ﷺ did it, it was unheard of. It was unheard of. People didn't know that there is such thing as no hierarchy. People only knew hierarchy. That's initially one of the reasons why people didn't want to accept Islam. Right? Sultan bin Adi, Utbah, and all of these people who really were like, whoa, this is nice stuff that this guy is saying. Like, they were fascinated by it. Sometimes they would even secretly go listen to the Quran being recited. Well, one of the main reasons why they didn't want to accept the Prophet's message was because there were lowly people there. There were people with different skin tones there. There were the Africans there. There was the Romans there. There were the Persians there. We don't want to go there. We're Arab. We're Quraysh. We're the residents of Mecca. And they were proud. And they were like, nah, those are not our people. If you want to entertain these people, then well, guess what? We don't want to accept, we don't even want to hear your message, even if it sounds beautiful. And subhanAllah, even Umar initially was enticed, and they sent people like him to say, oh, Abu Talib, tell your nephew, man, please tone down the types of people that are coming in. Tell them, push them to the side, make more space for us. And that's when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed the verses, وَلَا تَطْرُدِ الَّذِينَ يَدْعُونَ رَبَّهُمْ بِالْغَدَاةِ وَالْعَشِيِّ يُرِيدُونَ وَجْهَهُ. Allah is telling the Prophet of Allah, don't even consider it. Don't even consider sidelining the people who actually want Allah, who actually want Allah's pleasure. These people are more valuable in the eyes of Allah than those people, even if those people apparently are noble and they have a really rich ancestry. Dude, what really is ancestry? Now, these people are proud of their ancestors, be proud of who they came from, where they came from. There's nothing. Now, this is a very important part of the khutbah. I want everyone to listen very carefully. To love where you come from, to love where you live, to love the land of which you are a citizen. There's nothing wrong with that. To call yourself an Arab, to call yourself a Palestinian, to call yourself a Pakistani, an Indian, an American, a Canadian, there's nothing wrong with that. That's just affiliation. Allah says that's why we created you, so you can recognize one another. That's why we made you into nations and tribes. Allah said that's the purpose of it. So for identification purposes, to love where you come from because of the memories or the childhood memories or the beautiful things that you had that came with it that you cherish, there's nothing wrong with that. But when you start using the merits of where you come from and who you come from to think that you're superior on account of that, and God for some reason chose you to be part of this really great grand nation because you're better than somebody else who doesn't come from that nation, that's disgusting. It's not just bad. The Prophet ﷺ said it's disgusting, it stinks. دَعُوهَا فَإِنَّهَا مُنْتِنَةٌ. He said, let go of these vibes because they stink. They have a filthy, obnoxious, a foul smell that come from it. You know what I'm saying? Like, this whole thing, we really feel like, man, it's a joke. There's nothing wrong with it. I was only playing. When we start talking about our countries, where we come from, our ancestry, you know, my people were really, really great people. It starts off with a joke. And then it gets into a discussion of what country is better, of what has, we can even start off with as simple of a discussion as a discussion of food. And honestly speaking, when it comes to the whole subject of joking around about these things, that's a matter of, you know, you're around your company, you know who will be offended by what, that's your judgment call, but then too, I would say stay away from that. Because those are touchy waters, you don't know what it would lead to, you don't know what's actually offensive, what's a slip of the tongue, you don't want to make those mistakes. You don't want to accidentally offend somebody, you don't want to accidentally fuel a fire of racism that, subhanAllah, the Prophet ﷺ said, it stinks. Even his beloved companion, Abu Dharr radiallahu anhu, the man who the Prophet of Allah said, I love you too. This man accidentally, just one time, slip of the tongue said, Ya ibn as-Sada, oh you son of a black woman. And the Prophet ﷺ says, Ya Abu Dharr, innaka mu'min fika jahiliyyah. You still have traces of ignorance within you. The Prophet ﷺ got really mad at him. You know, bro, imagine the Prophet ﷺ were alive today and he heard the disgusting things that come out of our mouths pertaining to other races. Kalyu, Zanji, you know what I'm saying? Or don't go in the sun, you'll get black. Here, subhanAllah, this disgusting. The Prophet ﷺ would be embarrassed of us. We say it like, well, it's a joke. Sometimes we don't even see it as a joke. Sometimes we don't even know what we're doing is wrong. But it's wrong and it gotta go. And the standard is Allah is not going to stop or Allah is not going to change our circumstances until we change ourselves. So instead of pointing our fingers at people who are doing the injustice, which is a cause of the real spiritual problem which is within our control to fix, let's start focusing on the things that we can actually do. Yes, raise your voice, yes, post, yes, do all of that stuff, but know that none of that is going to make a difference until we don't get rid of our own racism. Until we don't get rid of our own problems that we have spiritually against each other and each other's communities, etc. All these really mean things that we say to one another really have to stop. You know, saying so many things that are said, even within our own countries. Even within our own countries, you know, Pakistani and Indians and Lebanese and, you know, Jordanians and Syrians and Palestinians, and well, I'm from here. What makes you so special? Even if your ancestors were great, they were great. Who are you? They're saying, who are you and who am I? If you want to carry on their legacy, be humble. Don't be arrogant. If they were so great and they were arrogant about it, they're not so great anymore. And if they were humble, be like that. Don't brag about it. Don't boast about it. The Prophet, I'm going to close off with this. The Prophet says Allah doesn't look at the color of your skin. He doesn't look at, say your circumstances. He looks at Allah looks at what's in here. If what's in here is filthy, no matter who your ancestors are, no matter where you come from, no matter what society you're blessed to be a part of, no matter what wealth you have, no matter what Allah gave you, if you don't have the taqwa of the heart, you mean nothing to Allah. If you're not a good person, then even a person who has nothing is much better in the eyes of Allah than you. We all need to internalize this concept. We're not better because of where we come from. We're not better. We make these things like jokes. Please, my dear respected brothers, stop these dumb jokes. If you're really smart and if you're really actually funny, you will think of a way that's much smarter to make somebody else laugh other than disrespecting an entire nation. Otherwise, if you can't do that, and if the only way you can manage to make somebody else laugh is by insulting them, or by insulting their whole generation or their whole race, then guess what? Your humor is really, it's terrible. I'm just being brutally honest. Your sense of humor is just terrible. It's not funny. It's just rude. It's disgusting. May the Prophet ﷺ's ears be safe from hearing any of our nonsense on the Day of Judgment. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgive us for all the wrong that we've said in the past. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgive us for all the mistakes that we've made in the past, thinking that we were just playing around and joking around. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala save us from this shaitan, this satanic disease of racism that we sometimes don't even acknowledge exists within us. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allow us to see it as clear as day. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allow us to remove it from us. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allow us to stand up for the oppressed and stand up against injustice wherever it may be. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allow the tyrants to understand that Allah is not one who forgets. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allow them to understand that He is not obnoxious or oblivious of what they are up to. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept our dua in the favor of those who are oppressed. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allow us to stand up for justice in whichever way He pleases. Wa akhiru da'wana alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. الحمد لله وحده والصلاة والسلام على من لا نبي بعده صاحب التاج والمعراج سيد الإنس والجنات محبوب رب الأرض والسماوات الذي اسمه مكتوبا في الإنجيل والتوراة. أما بعد فقد قال الله تبارك وتعالى في كتابه العزيز بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. يا أيها الناس إنا خلقناكم من ذكر وأنثى وجعلناكم شعوبا وقبائل لتعارفوا إن أكرمكم عند الله يتقاكم إن الله عليم خبير. صدق الله العلي العظيم. وقال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم إن الله لا ينظر إلى أجسامكم ولا إلى صوركم ولكن ينظر إلى قلوبكم وأعمالكم أو كما قال عليه الصلاة والسلام. بارك الله لنا ولكم في القرآن العظيم ونفعني وإياكم بما فيه من الآيات والذكر الحكيم. إنه تعالى جواد كريم ملك بر رؤوف رحيم فاستغفروا إنه هو الغفور الرحيم. أقيموا الصلاة. الله أكبر الله